Hello, Calaveras County, and welcome to another edition of Mondo Calaveras. I'm your host, Mike Taylor. Now, if there's one thing I know about Calaveras County, it's that we have our share of senior citizens. And my folks aren't here to enjoy that part of life here in this county anymore. They got to enjoy a good portion of their retirement here. But my guest today is going to help those of us who are over the age of 65 deal with Medicare. This is Laurel Joliff. Welcome, Laurel. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Now, can you give me kind of I'm not quite to 65. I have a few years to go. But give me kind of the bare bones basics on Medicare and what it does and kind of what it doesn't do, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Asking a lot in a little bit of time.
I know.
So I'll do my best. So Medicare pays for, once someone is 65, if they're eligible for Medicare, if they've worked 40 quarters and paid into Social Security for 40 quarters in their lifetime, then they're eligible for Medicare. Part A is hospitals and then several other things.
Okay.
And that is no cost to them because they earned that. Part B is doctors and then a few other things.
Okay.
And Part B this year for new enrollees is $121 and change per month.
Okay.
And that combined, Part A and Part B cover 80% of hospitals and doctors.
Okay.
Okay. And then, so you have an option. Folks can get just that. They should add a Part D, which is your prescription plan. Now, that Part D is a voluntary plan that you're penalized if you don't have.
Oh, okay.
Voluntary plan that you're
We're
penalized.
going to bill you for something that you can't afford, but we're going to bill you for it anyway.
Right. It's very important for people to understand that they will be penalized if they don't take a drug plan. Oftentimes they think, well, I'm not taking any drugs. Why would I get a drug plan? A few years ago, prior to 2006, that would make sense. But it's a voluntary plan that they're penalized if they don't have it. So Part D covers prescriptions, or a good part of it. Right now, there's 27 plans to choose from.
Oh, my goodness.
And so what I do with my folks is I sit down with them. We go to Medicare.gov website. We put in all of their prescriptions, where they want to shop, and whether or not they want to do mail order or go to the store to get the prescriptions. And then the Medicare.gov tells us where or which plan is the best one for them.
Oh, okay. Now, is that something that folks could go to Medicare.gov and kind of do themselves, too?
They can do it themselves. They can go
no
to
offense
Medicare.
to you,
No,
obviously.
it's okay. Yeah, a lot of people prefer me to do it.
Well, and I was going to say, a lot of that governmental stuff
it's intimidating.
Feels so cumbersome.
It is, yeah.
And it helps to have somebody who...
Oftentimes it asks questions that they don't need to answer in order to get the answers that they want, and I know that, and they don't.
Okay.
I turned that off. Oh, my gosh. So they get the Part D plan, and then they can get a Medicare Advantage plan to supplement the other 20%.
Okay.
Or a supplement, otherwise known as a Medigap plan.
Medigap, okay, yes.
There are many Medigap plans to choose from. The F is the most comprehensive of all of them. Most folks get that if they can afford it. It is more expensive. Medicare Advantage plans are based on what county you live in.
Oh, okay.
And so, for example, San Joaquin County has 11 plans, Stanislaus has 14, Calaveras has 1, Amador has 1, Tuolumne has none.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so Medicare Advantage isn't big here, but, I certainly tell folks about them. They still have a lot of restrictions as far as open enrollment, stuff like that.
Do they afford more coverage? Is that...
A Medigap plan is going to be your most comprehensive, that F plan. The Medicare Advantage plan, one advantage to them is they're lower in cost usually.
Okay.
And most of the time they include a drug plan. Ours in Calaveras does.
Okay.
They're HMOs or PPOs typically. Ours in Calaveras is a private fee-for-service plan. So it's just, it behaves differently.
Okay. So you kind of keep going to your same old doctor and work out whether or not he or she is part of that plan.
Well, correct.
Is it kind of like a PPO system?
The HMO, you have to go to their network of doctors. A PPO, you can go to their network, But you can also go outside and pay a higher copay.
And you pay more. Mm-hmm.
A private fee-for-service plan, there is no network.
Oh, okay.
And so a provider can actually decide at the time of service whether or not they want to take your plan. They have to agree to the terms and conditions of the plan each time you go.
Oh, goodness.
So it's kind of scary for folks up here because there's not a doctor on every corner like there is in Lodi.
Sure.
And so a doctor can say, yes, I'll see you on a Monday, and they don't have to see you on a Friday.
Okay.
But it's a lot less expensive than that Plan F. And it's a lot better than having just Medicare.
Just Medicare, sure.
So it's a great option if that's the other alternative.
At what point, let's say you're getting into 63, 64, you're getting toward that magic year. When I was a kid, 65 was the year that you retired.
Right.
That was kind of it. And now we have so many people who either they've managed their money very well, they've made lots of money when they were younger, and they've been able to retire sooner, but obviously they can't join Medicare because they've retired.
Right.
You have to actually hit the calendar.
Right. Yeah, so a lot
65.
of folks retire prior to 65, and they are under either private insurance or covered California. And then when they get Medicare, they can go get a supplement or the Medicare Advantage plan.
Okay.
A lot of folks I'm seeing are still working past 65. And now they have an option of whether or not to keep their employer plan or go to an individual plan.
Oh, okay.
The employer will really determine whether or not they're required to take Medicare, though.
Okay.
They become more of a risk. They're older.
Sure.
So,
at what point do you really start having to kind of make all these decisions? And is it like, on your 65th birthday, you're hitting enter and sending all that information in? Or?
I tell people to call me when they're 64 and a half.
Oh, okay.
For a 62-year-old, I say, don't even worry about it.
Give me a couple
it's
years.
Change.
Yeah.
I promise.
That's right.
But a 64 and a half-year-old, I let them know they're going to get a ton of junk mail. Lots. They're on every mailing list for hungry insurance agents. And so I just have them hold on all of that junk mail. They don't know whether it's official or not because some junk mail looks official.
Oh, sure.
And I show them the difference as to what's official by government logos and things like that because it's kind of hidden sometimes. And then we go from there. So 64 and a half is a good age to start making some decisions.
Making the decisions.
Whether or not you're working, if an employer plan is still going to be offered.
Okay.
Talk to HR, that kind of thing.
What is, or what are, I guess, some of the biggest mistakes or the biggest kind of, maybe mistake is too harsh a word because I have a feeling most people are moving in a good-natured, I'm trying to do the best for myself mindset, and they click the wrong box, or they didn't buy that plan, or something like that. So what are some of those
There's
errors
a couple
that
good, that's a
folks
great
make?
question. There's a couple of them that come to my mind right away. One is not getting that Part D plan when they should have. You're penalized if you don't have it when you're first eligible for it.
Oh,
Up until the time you finally get it. And so literally, the government takes how many months that you could have had it but chose not to. And those are the number of months that you're penalized for the rest of your life.
Oh, goodness.
So it's a little penalty, but it accrues, and so it never goes away once you start with a drug plan.
Sure.
So that's a little bit of information that is huge, and a lot of folks say, well, why didn't people at Social Security tell me this?
Yeah.
And they don't have to.
I was going to say.
HICAP is there. They're wonderful. They're volunteers. You can get a drug plan at HICAP. During open enrollment season, they're booked because people feel desperate.
Realize
and
they need some
need
help.
to go there. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Agents like myself can help them. The other mistake is if they should have gotten a Medigap plan but didn't, they chose to get the Medicare Advantage plan. One mistake would be if you got a Medicare Advantage plan and then next year you start becoming more ill, you're going to the doctor more often, things are becoming more chronic, and now you want that better coverage, that more comprehensive coverage. Well, you're underwritten in order to go to that Medigap plan, which means they can be turned down.
Oh, okay.
So your pre-existing condition clause, those went away for under 65.
Okay.
Not over 65.
I see.
Unfortunately, that was backwards. And so someone might not be able to get that Medigap plan when they need it. So my point is to get it while you're healthy or
Yes.
when it's guaranteed, which is right when you turn 65,
Okay.
if one can afford it.
Okay. Now, and maybe this will help folks, and maybe not, but you tell me. What I was going to suggest is maybe I hit 67, I'm on Medicare,
Okay.
and I have a heart attack. And I'm sent to the emergency room, and it ends up I have to have double bypass surgery.
Okay.
Where is Medicare going to do something for me?
Okay.
Where, so what,
Okay, so it
what
depends
plans are
on
going to do what for me and when?
It depends on which side of the page is what I say it, because I usually go off of the Medicare on You book that they're mailed to every year.
Okay.
And so we go through that. And the Medicare Advantage is on one side of the page and the supplements are on another. And that's
I
literally
see.
why I say that.
Okay.
And I do that in every appointment. If you had a Medicare Advantage plan here in Calaveras and you went to the hospital, you would have an emergency copay of $75 this year, I think it is. And you would have I think it's a close to $400 a day co-payment for up to 4 days.
Okay.
So that's $1,600. Let's say you're in the hospital for a week. I don't know. They try to get you
They
out
try and
as soon
boot
as
you out
possible,
pretty
yeah.
quick anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
when
and so
my
let's say-
dad had quadruple bypass, he was out of the hospital in 4 days.
Right.
It's kind of remarkable,
Yeah,
and
it
you
is.
think,
It is.
should he really be out?
Right.
But really, I think, and this is a little off topic, but I think actually you can do better at home or maybe in that kind of convalescent situation.
Right.
The hospital is the least relaxing place on the planet
For
to go when
everyone.
you're sick.
Right. No, it's
just
true.
amazing.
It's very true.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, sorry to
So
sidetrack
if you have a
there,
Medicare Advantage plan, so you're talking $1,600 for the hospital stay. You got an emergency room stay at $17. So you're looking at close to $2,000 for that hospital stay.
Okay.
Plus, you're going to pay probably a 20% copay for MRIs following, let's say, for follow-up visits. So that you have to count that in. So you're probably looking at $4,000 or $5,000 possibly with a Medicare Advantage plan. Now,
Okay.
Calaveras' Medicare Advantage has a maximum out-of-pocket of $6,700
Okay.
this year and next year, which means if one has a really bad year, the most that they'll spend out of their own pocket is $6,700.
Okay.
So that's where the financial bleeding stops. Is kind of what I call it.
Yeah. That's a good analogy for
Yeah.
it, too.
So and then if you have a supplement, though, so the other Medicare Advantage plan you're paying about $50 a month for. It
Okay.
includes a drug plan. Okay.
Okay.
So the supplement you're paying for a 67-year-old, I'm going to guess and say about $160 a month.
Okay.
Depending on the company. Plus you're paying for a drug plan because I know you don't want a penalty. And so let's say that's $20. So $160, $180 a month. And you have zero copay and zero deductible. You can be in the hospital for a week or a month, and you pay nothing.
Oh,
Because
okay.
if you have that Plan F supplement, there are many supplements to choose from, but the F is going to be the most comprehensive.
Okay.
If you have the F, you would have a zero copay. You only
Okay.
can just continue paying that $180 a month or so.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
that F plan is going away in 2020.
Okay.
And so if one has the F prior to that, they'll be grandfathered in. But after January 1 of 2020, they will not be able to get an F.
So will there be anything that...
There will be a G. We still have the whole alphabet, you know.
Yeah, you got to love the government for that.
So the G plan, as of right now, is just like the F, except you are responsible for the Part B deductible, which is about $160 a year.
Oh, okay.
So, which could change every year. It's one of those
Sure.
things that, you know.
Well, and that's part of it. And before we started filming, I was telling you that I'm a type 1 diabetic, and that is something that I have watched. I mean, I've been diabetic since I was 10. So I know how much, you know, and I kind of half joke with friends. I say, you know, I have a $400 a month drug habit.
Right, you do.
And that really is what it is.
Yeah.
And it is all, now, thankfully, because of mail order, not everything I have had to get via prescription that I would. And mainly, I'll just be honest and say what it is, and that's the syringes. And that's great because I can get them through the mail, don't have to worry about getting them at the local pharmacy and paying almost twice
Right.
what they And where I'm going with this is, having been diabetic so long, I've watched as the cost of medical care, and more specifically prescription drugs, has just gone, and it's not a nice little uphill drive. It's a hill that I don't think any vehicle out there could climb.
Right.
You could have the best diesel 4x4 and you're not going to get up this hill.
Yeah.
So the Medicare D, the prescription plan, where does it fit into all this? Let's say even with that heart attack and you're in the hospital, are you using the D to cover the medications you're getting?
So while you're in the hospital, if it's physician administered, no.
Okay.
It's under Part B. Part D is at your pharmacy. Now there are some exceptions to that rule, like chemo drugs, things like that.
Infusion kind of drugs, that kind of thing?
Yeah, a little exception to the rules. But primarily, if it's physician administered, it's under Part B. Okay. And if you get it at the pharmacy or mail order, it's Part D. Okay. And so Part D has your donut hole or coverage gap, is what it's called. They're trying to close that by 2020 also. Okay. Deductibles are going up. It was $360 in 2016. It's going to be $400 next year. Okay. So.
And is that basically you're going to pay until you get to that $400 for whatever prescriptions, and then the prescription plan kicks in? Then does it pay 100% of the drug costs? I knew you were going to shake your head. I hate it when I know the answer.
You knew that answer.
And is that where all of these 27 different plans come into play? You then are making a decision. I'm taking a lot of prescription medications. I have a heart condition. And
so here's the deal. For the Part D as well as the Part C, or the Medicare Advantage plan, you can only change or add that once a year. Okay. October 15th through December 7th. So that's open enrollment or annual election period. And so if someone has heart trouble in March, they have the plan that they have. They cannot change it. Mid-year.
Okay.
And so in October, when I sit down with my folks, we talk about what prescriptions they have. Like I said before, we go to Medicare.gov, we put it in. And so we can only base it on the drugs that they're taking now at that time. Okay. We don't know what they're going to be taking at the time.
Yeah, you can't.
All drug plans, all 27 of them, have to meet certain criteria. They have to have a drug within all different categories of illness. And so they do, but they can range wildly.
Oh, sure.
One
From
can
a
cover
generic
ABC,
here to
and one can cover XYZ, and you need the DEF, and so we need to find a plan that covers that DEF. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it does, and what it sounds like is that someone, and maybe this is my next question, to obtain the services that you provide, do folks sign you a separate check?
No, I'm so glad you asked that.
Or are you basically kind of commissioned with the plans that you sell?
Exactly right. Okay. So you know a lot about this industry that you're not letting on. So yes, I'm an independent broker. Okay. I am a for-profit company. And so but folks don't pay me ever. The companies do. Okay. And so of the 27 plans, I might be contracted with 10 of them. And if number 12 comes up on Medicare.gov, I say, okay, here's the phone number, call them. Because I want what's best for you. Okay. Because I know you're going to tell your neighbor about me. And
Sure. Well, and what it sounds like then is your services are, for lack of a better word, free.
They are. They are
because they're paid,
free. They're absolutely
granted,
free.
It's not technically free.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, if you got a Medigap plan through AARP, it'll be $132.17, let's say. And if you get it through me, it's going to be $132.17. It will not be a penny different. The difference of using the difference between using me and calling them directly is you have a face and a local person that you can call and say, what's going on? Why am I being billed for this?
Well, and a sympathetic ear.
I fix that a lot,
I can imagine.
For boo-boos that happen at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Just a billing error.
And I was going to say, coding errors.
Oh, yeah.
That's
happens all the time.
We hear that, and I've had friends who've worked at the hospital who always told me, always get an itemized bill and look at everything, because a lot of times they accidentally hit enter twice.
It's human error.
And,
I mean, we all make mistakes, but and so I take care of my folks when they have that issue. They don't have to use me, but they can, and usually they're happier for it. It's just kind of true.
Great. How long does an appointment to say, or is it more than one appointment? I mean, do you come in 2 or 3 times?
So when someone's 64 and a half,
yes.
it's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's a good hour.
Okay.
Because we go over everything.
Oh, sure.
Employer plans, don't take Medicare, take Medicare, individual, Medicare Advantage, Medigap. So we go over all of it.
Okay.
And so what I do is I educate them. I make sure that both spouses understand it.
Yeah.
It's real important. Because I want them.
Well, it is.
I sleep really well at night, and it's important to me. and so what that means is I always do what's best.
Sure,
you.
you steer your clients,
must.
your clients to the right plans for them.
I do.
In that thinking and that fact that everyone's finances are tighter than we'd like to admit, well, most of us anyway, where do you see, and this is another one of those, where do you see people making a mistake kind of thing? Do they scrimp in the wrong place and maybe not pay for this terrific plan, or, how do
Sometimes, especially if, I've been healthy my whole life. Why on earth would I think otherwise?
Sure.
And I understand that. I mean, I appreciate the healthy lifestyle and, the exercise and the eating right and all that. But it also has to do with your family lineage, your medical history. So that has to come into play.
Yeah.
But usually it's your pocketbook that determines which plan you get.
Yeah. And are we still seeing as many seniors getting ruined by illnesses? Are these insurances, I guess my question is, are these insurances covering us?
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes, if someone has a high deductible plan, they complain that the plan's not paying anything, and I remind them that it's because they have a high deductible.
That's because you have the $4,000 deductible.
You haven't gone to the doctor or hospital enough, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But I just kind of remind them, when we sat down a year ago and decided which plan to get, this is why.
Yes.
I had a call today from someone who I signed up for a prescription plan, and she said, well, I'm paying way too much for this prescription. I need to change. And so I reminded her that we sat down, and without fail, we go to Medicare.gov, and we look up the prescriptions. And even though it's a high cost, because it is, just like yours is,
Yes.
it's still going to be the best cost between all of them. And so, but we're going to sit down again, and I encourage family. Her sister's going to come with her in a couple weeks when we sit down, and we're going to go over them again for 2017.
Do you, and that kind of leads to my next question, how often, okay, you've hit 65, spent the hour and a half with you, and we made the decisions for this year. Do we meet again next year? Do we do this kind of annually?
So we can meet it next year. And the Medigap plans continue automatically. The older you get, the more expensive it gets because they're based on age and zip code. However, the prescription plans do change every year. And so that, as well as if someone has a Medicare Advantage plan, that changes every year. And so I do encourage a visit if someone has a Medicare Advantage plan, because sometimes they go away. In San Joaquin County, there are many plans that are going away.
Okay.
And so, first of all, those clients panic because their plan's going away. But then
they aren't automatically going to get dumped into another plan.
No, they're without.
They have to make that decision,
coverage. And so it's real important for those folks to know who to call to help. But it also gives them some rights that they wouldn't have otherwise. For example, the person who we said before, if they made a mistake, they got a Medicare Advantage plan and they should have gotten a Medigap plan, but they couldn't afford it really, or they didn't want to afford it. So now, if those folks that are in San Joaquin County that are losing that coverage, that gives them a guaranteed acceptance, regardless of their health, into a Medigap plan. But a good agent knows that. They should know that. It's the law.
So you're gonna...
whether or not they share that is up to them.
Sure. You mentioned 2020 and the Medigap kind of changing, and when I hear pre-existing conditions, as that type 1 diabetic, that's a big buzzword in my ear. Is a type 1 diabetic, age 65, going to be able to get a Medigap
When you're brand new to Medicare, that gives you a guaranteed acceptance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
so
a
that's the
special,
get it, got it, good.
It's kind of, yeah,
yeah.
that's a good way to say it, yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense because, like I say, with insurance and that, the pre-existing condition,
Right.
I used to worry about that. And then when that got thrown out,
Right.
as you maybe shifted employers or
Right.
your
Right.
insurance
Employer plan doesn't
shifted
matter, yeah.
at the employer
Yeah.
plan, okay, I'm going to be covered, that kind of thing.
Right.
So-
Well, my joke is a 65-year-old usually has a party when they come see me because I save them $1,000 a month.
Oh, goodness.
If they're paying, $1,200, $1,300 a month for their health insurance as a 64-year-old, because it gets more expensive.
Yeah.
Between 60 and 64 is going to be your most expensive time health-wise because of insurance.
Yeah.
But people love turning 65 and getting Medicare because now they're going down to $200 a month. and they're
Sure.
super excited.
They hop in the RV and off they go.
They do. Or, whatever they want, but they are happy.
What's the kind of the one thing when you go to talk to folks about Medicare that you kind of put your foot down and say, you have to do this, you must do this. Never mind what the law tells you you
Yeah, I
have
was
to
just
do,
gonna say
that
the
we're
law
going to
says I
have to
can't
do
say
anyway.
that.
But I mean, what I mean is, that can you sleep at night kind of mindset.
Right.
Where do you kind of land on that?
Well, I've been doing this a long time, so I have my notes down well as far as what's required of me and what's not, and what allows me to sleep at night. That drug plan is a big deal.
Yeah.
To make sure they understand it. It doesn't matter to me one iota if they don't take it. What matters is if they know what the ramifications are if they don't take it. I'm good with that as long as I educate them. I don't sell anything. I never say you must do something. I really don't. I really don't.
I would very strongly recommend.
No, I wouldn't even do that. They say, "What should I do?" And I say, "I've given you the information. This, these are your options."
Yeah.
And I can say, if you were my mom, I can say things like that, but I can't say you must do this,
Yeah.
and I can't say this is better. I can't say that.
Okay.
Law's big
Interesting.
for Medicare.
Well, and I knew that too. I
Yeah,
was just kind of, like I said, going with that.
Yeah.
Can you sleep at night?
Something that's important to me is that book. We mentioned the book before, Medicare and You. It's very daunting. It's no one reads it except my mother. And so what I do is I interpret that book.
Okay,
It's important for
great.
them to understand that. And so my kind of tagline, if you will, is I don't speak Spanish, I speak Medicare because it's a foreign language.
It is.
Because, you don't want to go
almost
somewhere
like
and
going to
not
the
be able to
doctor.
speak the language and then be laughed at or be, penalized for not
That's it.
understanding it. And so I do. I interpret that book for them.
And that's where we need help, folks, is interpreting stuff like this. So, Laurel Joliff, I can't thank you enough for being here.
You're very welcome.
I very much appreciate the information. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on Mondo Calaveras. Make sure you're educated when it's time to retire. In the meantime, we'll see you next time. Enjoy.